as we wait. There we are. I think we are now live. Hello and welcome, everybody. Oh, we're just doing a little dance of saying that we are now on episode 8 of this podcast series. I mean, like, how exciting is that? And we're only doing them once a month. It just goes to show how time is like speeding up. And if you missed our episode about time, that's a very interesting one to come and watch. So today, what we are talking about is how our manifesting techniques are failing in the new era, and so like what can we do to change it, because there is magic in all of this and how we can really shift things. And I think that Marina and I, from our conversations, is that things are changing, the world is changing, we're evolving, the way we do things and have been doing things are shifting and evolving, and so in that, so do our manifestation techniques. So a little bit of housekeeping. So if you've never watched us before, but we go live here on Facebook every month and also on our YouTube channel, so please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is Safety and Ascension, so go ahead and find us there, leave us some comments. We're trying to bring in the subscribers on there and get this message out there, because we really do have very powerful and inspiring conversations, don't we, Marina, about like what we do. Yeah, to support really the ascension process, because it's safety in it. Like, a lot of people are feeling unsafe in the spiritual world, and how we really start to embody and bring it back to here to support our next level evolution. So this is an invitation. It isn't like, this isn't what we don't necessarily know best. Yeah, we're going live on Facebook. We're going live on where? On YouTube. Are we? Yeah. Oh, it didn't change it. Oh gosh. Anyway, so we are already going live on YouTube. Never mind. Tech this week has really been my.
We're in the Mercury shadow, and this aside, but this is what we need to deal with in our ascension process, things, and it's how we respond to mishaps and things. I have completely wiped out all of my level 3 Akashic Code certification off my training portal this morning. All of the information, I deleted it.
Well, by accident.
By accident. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm trying to recover that. So these are the things that we have to deal with, and it's how we respond to these challenges and not kind of fall apart, which I didn't fall apart. It's like, okay, let's go into recovery mode, and it's like, okay, what do I need to do to work through this, and what do I need to do with my own energy and my mindset? Not berate myself, but to actually, okay, well, what's the learnings in this? Who have I got that can help and support me, and what can I do also with the company that my stuff is on? Get a support ticket in there. They might be able to recover it, and get into the support group on Facebook, which I've done. And there might be an option, there might probably be a possibility that I can get it all recovered, which is amazing. So,
and hold that vision. And that's the miracles.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. Hold the vision that, of course, it's going to get recovered.
Yeah.
It might be a bit inconvenient, but it's all perfect, Yeah. It's all perfect.
Yeah, and it's recognizing that these things, I feel sometimes, don't know about you, Marina, but these things sometimes show up just to solidify or reassure me that I've got this, even when the shit hits the fan, when things go terribly wrong. Actually, it's not the end of the world. Like, nothing really terrible is going to happen. It's inconvenient for sure.
It's inconvenient,
It's inconvenient, but that is the ego and the mind, right? Of going, well, I'm never going to overcome this. But if we can put ourselves into a state of like, well, we will overcome it, because we'll do something. Even if that's nothing, we'll do something to overcome it and go, okay, well, maybe there's an opportunity to redo some of it, or parts of it will come back and some of it won't. But that's the reassurance that actually that little, perhaps that module that you can't get back, it needs an up level, needs to be shifted and changed. And I know that from my own perspective, when I've lost things, I'm like, oh, I wrote that really well. It's like, oh, now I've got to rewrite it again. But actually, there's something new that will come out of that, which will be at a different frequency. So this is about like manifesting. It's like
it is.
We manifest it, right?
Yeah.
Like, but there's a miracle within it, and that's the flip, I think. So I think also to say that, you know, whatever comes up for you in these discussions is really a support, a way of like unlocking something for you, that it might be a bit activating, it might be a bit triggering. Some of the things that we might say might not fit with your paradigm or fit with your belief system, and that's okay. We are not saying this is absolutely right or absolutely wrong. We're here to support a different way, and we feel that we can only really do that when we ask different questions, when we get curious, when we have a curious mind, and we really ask a different set of questions around something. Well, why is this? Why doesn't this work? Why does this work? And that's where we can come to new understandings and new ways to evolve in our ascension process. So yeah,
absolutely. So that was a beautiful segue into this whole episode around manifestation. And I think just touching on manifestation, kind of in the old ways, you know, that the way that we would, I could have viewed the circumstances and the situation of this morning was like, well, I must have done something wrong to manifest that, you know, me accidentally deleting that information. And you know, that's very much an old way of thinking about these things. And manifestation is, well, we're constantly manifesting, where we are creators. I mean, we're part of creator, God, source, which is constantly creating. So we're always creating. Now, whether we are creating the consequences and the results that we want is really dependent on, well, it's dependent on a lot of things, but essentially it's our energetic underneath the choices and decisions that we make. And what we get back into our experience is going to hold the frequency of the underlying energy. So that's the thing that we really need to look at. And we're obviously going to talk a lot about manifestation and how it's moved on through the ascension process, how we are, you know, we're all manifestors, but are you manifesting the life that you want, or are you stuck in a mindset of manifesting the scarcity, the lack, the life that you don't want? You know, are you continually keeping yourself in that cycle, and what can you do differently to manifest something differently? So that's what we're going to be really covering. And Akashic Records, of course, is a fundamental support to energetically change the shifts, change your multidimensional being, change your behaviors, your patterns, the karma, to facilitate more aligned manifestations.
Yeah, it's really, really powerful, isn't it? And if you've got any questions as we're talking, or if you're watching the replay, type #replay and ask us any questions. We love the questions, because the questions that come through, or the thoughts or the musings, like really shift into receiving new and channeled information. So Marina and I both channel and receive information, but you know, as Marina says, you know, it's how we approach these things, and how can we manifest. Like we are powerful manifestors. We are always manifesting. And I think that was a really hard pill for me to swallow in my early days. Well, like, why would I be manifesting something I don't want? Why would I be doing that? Surely that's kind of like done to me. And it's like, when we realize that we are powerful manifestors, that we are creating everything, I think for me, what that created was a sense of power. It wasn't disempowerment. When I realized that I'm manifesting everything I want, the stuff I do want, the stuff I don't want, like deleting my whole course, you know, it's like, it empowers me to realize, well, actually, then I can change things. And with awareness of something, I have the power to change it. If something is happening that I don't like, I can create a different set of circumstances, a different set of tools in my toolbox to navigate it all differently. And that puts me in a place of power, because then I go to solution focus. I go to saying, actually, this thing that's happening to me right now, this is not really what I want to do. This is not really what I believe. This is me going off track. This is me going way off track sometimes. And it's like, what can I do to bring myself back onto track? How can I bring myself back to manifesting actually what I do want rather than what I don't want? And that is a set of choices that I get to powerfully choose, not dictated to me by even by the Akashic Records. Like the Akashic Records telling me what I should do to get back on track. They can give me wisdom, guidance, support, and a bit more understanding of what's going on, so I can release what's getting in my way and give me a bit of a freer run to be able to make better choices that are more aligned to who I am. So I feel like that's, you know, the way we're starting to understand and approach manifesting is changing from a place of freedom, from a place of choice, not being controlled over, be that spirit, source, the Akashic Records, or controlled by other people, because we give our power away to others, to society, to culture, to systems and other people. And where do we gain our power back? I think that's really what's key.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And I'm just kind of looking at our notes, and we we are touching on what is manifesting in the new era, and we've got, manifesting has changed since the old patriarch, and we're no longer creating under the controlled forces, which, to be fair, that's not true for everybody. We are privileged to live in the Western world and still have a degree of freedom of choice, which allows us to create, and as females, to create more of an aligned life and experience. But I know and understand that people that don't have that freedom and that are in the more denser spaces of the planet still have, on some level, a way of being able to introduce light and their own freedom, even if it's within their minds. There is still an ability, or if it's in meditation, there's still an element that you can create freedom, even when it feels like it's just not possible. I mean, I know that I'm not kind of like well read on certain people, that have been imprisoned. I'm sure, like Nelson Mandela and people like that, they went into their mind and kind of had that whole adventure and their freedom within their mind, and that was the way that they were able to get up every day and cope with the forced imprisonment that they found themselves in.
I know that the Vipassana method, and I forget his name now. I think it's Goek something. Not very good with the names, but if you look up the Vipassana meditation technique, he was an Indian guy, and he went a lot into prisons to work with prisoners around shifting their belief around and finding their inner freedom. And he really reduced reoffending rates massively, because they felt much more empowered when they left prison to do things and choose differently. And it was a massive program in India many years ago, and it's still taught, I think, but had phenomenal results in prisons in India. And you can only imagine the level of what do you call it, like the conditions in those kind of prisons, probably some of the worst in the world, and how that really changed people. So I feel that, even in those circumstances where we really don't have freedom, the capacity to shift our perspective and to create through choice something different at the end of it or during it is really powerful. So just really what you were saying just really reminded me of that. Fantastic meditation technique.
But I think essentially for me, I mean, the manifesting from a place of freedom, it comes with, for me, the freedom has to come with the self-awareness, because we can stay trapped in these habits and these behaviors, and that's where we manifest the same thing over and over again. So the thing for me that's different that we take into this new era is our soulful self-awareness.
Yeah.
And that's what we're expanding. That's part of the ascension process. You know, it's a massive fundamental piece of that, is that we are becoming so much more conscious of the choices and decisions that we make. And that directly influence what you manifest. So the more you bring to that, the more freedom of choice, the more capability for the size of the manifestation you bring, you know, bring to your experience. But also there's an element of, with that soulful self-awareness, is really seeing where you hold yourself back, where your fears are, where the resistance is. And are you willing to jump through that? Are you willing to have the quantum leap, to then have the quantum leap in the manifestation? You know, and not all of us, you know, even with the soulful self-awareness, it's like, oh no, that's just a bit too big, a bit too scary, you know. And we don't, you know, and that's okay. There's no judgment with that, but at least there's choice even around that, you know.
Yeah, and I think, you know, and I think that just goes to reiterate, you know, that things are changing. We have got that awareness of that we do have choice, that we do have, even in the worst conditions, we have a choice to make things different. And I think that, you know, as you said, is like, this is part of the ascension process, is becoming so aware of what's working for us, what's not working for us, what we're holding so subconsciously. Like 90% or 95% of our actions are all subconscious. I mean, that's like how much we are working on a programmed level, predefined programmed level, but the awareness starts to break that down. And I know for myself, like in the last, you know, I've been doing this work for 20 more years, you know, I'm still me, but the way I do things is so different. I have so much more awareness of how I do things. And I think, you know, for me and my clients, the Akashic Records really shine a light on that. It's like, what are we still doing that is still so subconscious? These patterns of behaviors, these energetic patterns, where even I've said, when someone's shone a light on it for me, and I've said, I'm not doing, there's no way I'm doing that. Of course I'm not doing that. I have like a level of awareness to not do that. And then in comes the humble side and goes, well, maybe dear, you are.
Actually, I'll just have a look at that.
Maybe. Don't worry about it, but maybe. And it's like, we have, you know, it's like, oh, right. Yes, I am doing that. And so with that level of awareness, it's like, okay, well, where is that showing up in my day-to-day, in the small little things that I'm doing, to be able to shift it and change it? And then we get to step closer to what we're trying to manifest. Because like, we want to manifest things, but most of us are not even clear what we're trying to manifest or where we're going. Like, our intentions are so wishy-washy. I always say, like, wishy-washy intentions get wishy-washy answers, and like wishy-washy results. You know, it's like, that's the life that most of us are living. It's like wishy-washy, and we're wondering, why is this a bit bland? Why is this a bit vanilla? Like, why can't I have all these amazing, incredible things that I think I'm saying I want it, but actually we're not clear.
No, and that's true. And I think I would even say that for myself. You know, I don't sit down and do the big vision. I don't even sit down and do the small vision. Although I've got a little vision board up here, which really helps from a visual perspective. But I'm quite open, and I'm just kind of doing the journey, and I'm doing what kind of feels good for me, and that helps. You know, that's, you know, it's certainly working. Very dedicated to my soul purpose. And before then, when I was in corporate, I was very dedicated. Even though I don't have a lot of clarity, I know I kind of get clear on, I know what feels good and what feels right. And then I just allow it to unfold. So from a corporate perspective, I didn't know how I was going to earn money, because I did fine art as a degree, and I knew it was the most unemployable degree that you could ever do. But it was like, but I want to do fine art, so I'm going to go and do it. That was what I did. But I always worked in a shop. I always worked in retail, because, you know, I wanted money, I wanted freedom in that sense, and independence. So I kind of left my degree, and it was like, well, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I'm open to things kind of like unfolding. So I went and got a full-time job I went and applied, walked into the shop on my birthday, and they said, we're actually looking for a window dresser, and you've done fine arts. Obviously, you've been in retail for a long time. Why don't we train you up to do visual merchandising? And that's how I found my job. And I was in that job for like visual merchandising I did for 20 years. That became my career. And that gave me a lot of freedom. It allowed me to be creative. And also I was able to kind of move and do a lot of traveling and work for different companies. And it was amazing. And it was almost like I manifested that, because I was just in the right energy. I'm just going to see, I'm being playful. I'm just going to see what evolves. And that's what happened. And then so like, as soon as I latched onto that, I was like, right, this is my career, and I'm going to just see how far I can take it. And then I've done the same thing with the Akashic Records.
And I think that is really intentional. It's like the intention is to be open to see what feels good and to make choices that feel good. And you know, when something comes along, it's like, yes, this feels good, and my intention is to always make those decisions based on that. And those opportunities then arise. So there is something very intentional about being open.
Yes, I suppose. Yes. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be. I think that's another thing that's like is getting in our way right now, is that this intention has to be so super specific that it's like you've got to have everything nailed down to the finest tea, that you are so close to anything else coming up that's outside of that. And a good example of that is a lot of the, you know, manifesting the perfect partner. It's like being so specific and then actually manifesting exactly what's on the paper, and then realizing, well, that's not really actually truly what I want.
Yes.
No, I hear those stories all the time. And so now we've really got to start thinking about, you know, those are the manifesting techniques that happen when we wanted to control a situation without really having what you call is this soulful self-awareness, but rather having this so glad you're enjoying it. Love this conversation. Carry on listening later. Great. You know, it's like, how do we then, you know, manifesting with where we go. I've lost my train of thought now. Completely got sidetracked. Can't do two things at once. Clearly, too much for my brain. But that's the whole thing. Is like, I think that we are still stuck in the old way. This is how we manifest, and I think there are very few people, there definitely are, that have evolved in their manifesting and what they're sharing in the manifesting techniques. Like it's like belief. It's like belief that you can actually create things. It's being a vibrational match to it. It's a lot of different things that we haven't really finally understood the energetics previously. And so it was kind of a bit hiss and miss. And so that's why our understanding of manifesting have to shift and change so that we can come into this new level of manifesting, and it is much quicker. Right now.
And I think I absolutely agree with that. And there is, I mean, we know that there's the vibrational match, it's that energetic and the divine timing, so it lands. But what just came to me as you were speaking is actually we've all got an individual manifesting technique, and it's down to us to actually use some of these teachings to see actually what is the manifesting technique that actually is aligned for us. And it's all going to be different, which is not very helpful. But I don't think there's one way of just doing the manifestation. There isn't. I think this is again where it comes down to understanding ourselves, what our desires are, what actions we're taking to actually start to embody us being in that vibration, because it is about vibration and being in that to actually then be like a magnet for it. But that's a very individual process, very personal process for us to get ourselves in the vibrational match. And that's going to look very different for lots of people. So for me, I know that if I want to increase my income through my business, I need to be in the same rooms as people that are doing those types of incomes, and listening to how they show up, listening to the conversations, listening to all of those types of things. And I know that it seems like a really slow process, and sometimes it is a slow process, but I am slowly moving myself to be in with these are then become my peers. They're not my mentors, they are my peers. And I'm doing that same income as them. And that for me is an embodiment piece. That's how I tend to be able to work. Sometimes it's just leaps of faith as well. So there's different things, I think, and we've just got to really be more on the ball, I suppose, on how we do it, and be playful and try different things and not place so much expectation, which I know is hard, on the outcome. But when you're in scarcity and fear, that is hard. I know that.
Yeah, definitely. And I totally agree with what you say, Marina, because I feel it is very different for each of us. But because of what you come back to, it's like we can only find out what works for us through this soulful self-awareness, like without having this awareness of who we are, what feels good for us, what we want to create that's unique to us, because there's still so many of us that are looking around going, they've got that and I want that, and like that's what I need to do, and that's exactly, they're doing it this way and this is how I need to do it. And so these people are teaching, this is what's worked for me. And so you're going in and you're going, oh, I'm just going to do everything that they're doing, and then it doesn't work, and we are so disappointed. And it's so soul, and it can be so soul destroying as well, because we're like, then we're even more lost. And it's like, well, what are we doing wrong? And we're not doing anything wrong at all. And going to that point as well of like, it's different for everyone. You know what I've really realized in my own journey of manifesting? That even when I manifested something incredible in previous times in my life, I cannot pick that model up and map it out exactly the same way and recreate it here. It won't work here either. And why is because I am not the same as I was a year ago. Manifesting from that standpoint, from that perspective, creating the most unbelievable results, and then going, well, why doesn't this work anymore? Or like, what's wrong with me? Why does this not work anymore? And what it requires of us is to have that soulful self-awareness and go, I am different now. I am different. So now what have I learned about me? And what is it that I can create from this perspective? And this is what most people don't want to hear, because it feels hard. It feels challenging. We've got to engage them. We want it to happen by magic. It's like, well, I've done the work. Like, come on, like, give it to me. And then we step out of our power, and we hand our power over to someone else again. And we forget the soulful self-awareness and go, I am in the power. I create this. I am the powerful manifestor of my own creation and my own life. And now I need to figure out what it is here. And it gets to be playful. As Marina said, I've been playing this year, and I've been creating the most phenomenal results from that space of playful energy, but also recognizing that I am not the same person that manifested incredible results a year ago.
No, and we're not the same people. You know, we because the ascension process is just so quick, so fast, we're expanding at a rate of knots. Essentially, we're not the same person from second to second. You know what I mean? We're not. When you really think about it, it's just like, which again can feel quite heavy and quite hard, because it's just like, well, I've always got to be on my toes. I've always got to be, and I don't think we need that. I think all we need to think about is the little tweaks. So if you were kind of like trying to recreate the manifestations from last year, and like you say, you just do a little bit of analysis of, okay, well, who do I feel I am in this very point in time? What has changed? You know, is it my circle? Is it my clients? Is it the money flow? Is it my relationships? Is it my health? You know, what's improved? What's shifted? What's changed? Am I giving myself more time and freedom? And that's the thing that has really shifted this. Okay, so do I need to give myself more time and freedom in this next manifestation? Is that the theme? Or do I have to put something else in? And I think that's where we've got to get, you know, that's the opportunity that we have, is to get even smarter, or even more intuitive. It doesn't have to be a logical thing. It can be maybe more of an intuitive thing of, okay, well, that worked, but that doesn't feel right for me now. I'm going to maybe tune in with my guides, get my pendulum out, and I'm going to just see what is, what needs to shift here next. What do I need to focus on?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's also, back to a previous point, is why like these hard and fast, absolute, concrete manifestation. This is what I want. Here's my 25 million point list of everything I want to create. And then we wonder why we're not creating it, because at a different point in time, we're different. And so that we have to be open to like the flow of life. Like a river, we cannot keep a river like stuck in its path, because it will at some point burst its banks, because it needs to ebb and flow. And if you look over, a history of a river, it's changed course like in completely different directions and gone in completely different. And we have to be able to be like to be in the flow of things. This is how we get away from this hard work ethic. It's got to be hard work. We've got to figure it out every moment. There's a beautiful balance of flow and awareness. And the awareness comes from like, what's important for me? What's around me? What environment am I in? Who's around me that's supporting this or hindering it? Like, how can I shift that? And what's my response to it all? Is it to go into fight, fright, freeze, an attack mode? Or is it to go into, I've got to push harder and manifest harder? Or is it to go, oh, okay, there's something in me that this is bringing up, a bit of a resistance, and how do I navigate this? It doesn't have to be hard work. This is why we are really breaking as well. Now we're probably going a bit off topic, but like getting away from healing. Like we've got to heal everything. We've got to heal everything. We've got to heal everything. And, this idea of like, we've got to be in a high vibe all the fucking time in order to manifest what we want, because it's all about vibration. It isn't.
No, it's not. It's not all about vibration. What we've talked about is getting ourselves, and that could be personal. So that might not be your manifestation technique. But I know for me personally, being in the room with the vibrational like match that I want is really supportive. For me, it works. That's definitely my thing. But as part of that journey and part of that process and part of being in the human experience, we're going to be up and down. It's polarity, it's duality. And you're absolutely right. We do not need to be happy, clappy, unicorns, rainbows to manifest everything that's really beautiful, because that's not reality. But also, I don't want people to feel that I'm not allowing myself to have the low vibrations, to have the full human experience, because what if I manifest something that's really low vibrational? And that's not true either. This is, again, soulful self-awareness, allowing yourself to feel whatever it is and to shift through whatever the learning or whatever the phase is that you're going through. And actually, what you may do is just give yourself grace to go through that phase, and you pause your manifestation if there's something specific that you're really trying to focus on. And when you were talking before, I was thinking or feeling or sensing or bringing through is, I wonder whether we actually manifest in cycles, and there's good times or more appropriate times, like the Lionsgate portal, where you've got all of this incredible support that you haven't got to actually do anything other than tap into to create your manifestations. The 1111 portal, there's lots of different things. Maybe your birthday is an amazing time to manifest. I bet, because everything is secular, we can't be in the high vibes or the low vibes. Well, we can be in the low vibes all the time, but that's different circumstances, I suppose. But we can't be in the high vibe all of the time. So it makes sense that there's going to be better times or more appropriate times, more abundant times for each of us to manifest. And it isn't going to be at the beginning of the year. You know what I mean? For some people, it's going to be on a solstice. It's going to be on an equinox. It's going to be in March, or it's going to be at Halloween, which is the witch's new year. There's lots of different times. And I just wonder, it would be an interesting thing for us to, again, bring that soulful self-awareness to when are my good times to manifest?
Yeah, my crown is tingling the whole time you're speaking that, Marina. It feels like such a soulful truth. Because again, if you just mentioned New Year, like we're supposed to set all our goals on the 1st of January. By the time we've got to the 31st, we've all failed at them. So what's the point in carrying on? Like, I mean, this is the rhetoric.
That's patriarch, isn't it? That's patriarch.
Old way of doing things. And again, this doesn't serve us. We are cyclical, like men and women, not just women. We have more like visible cycles. But it's like we are all cyclical. So when are we actually like able to manifest really powerfully and allow that through? And when do we need rest times? Because we're constantly fighting, I feel, and I've done this so many times, like fighting against the challenging times. Like, why is this happening? Like, I don't like this. This is not good. I've got to break free of it. Got to push myself through into a better feeling state. And actually, if I allow myself permission, and I think this is the difference in the intention, allow myself to feel the feelings, whatever they are. I'm not going to put a label of good or bad on them. Feel the feelings, whatever they are, and acknowledge them, not to compound them, but to feel them in a space, and also recognize in that space of feeling those feelings, I am also open to receiving miracles. I am also open to receiving opportunities, solutions, ways of doing things, new tools, new opportunities, new people that will support me to come through it if I'm going through a really bad phase. And I think that is having so much soulful self-awareness. What we often do is like when we're in a low vibe, we're like, oh shit, I'm in a low vibe. We contract. Don't come near me because I might just give off the wrong energy. I totally recognize this, but like
I'm an energy vampire, or I'm going to drain your energy. I'm going to bring the vibe down. So I'm just going to hermit and not go near anyone.
Exactly. And we're like, I will have to figure this out all on my own. God forbid I should ask for support or help. And I actually wrote it in a post yesterday with someone else that I had a beautiful session with. And I wrote a review for her. And it was like, I think what I said was along the lines of like, when I know I'm walking through challenging times, I honor that. And I allow myself to ask for support. But not only asking for support, I allow myself to receive it. And those two things are very, very different. I can ask for support and go, I'm supposed to ask for support because I'm in this new era of collaboration. And if I ask, then I'm doing a good thing. But I'm not really going to open my energy up to receive it because I don't want to hear it. Are we fully open to receiving it? And I feel that is such a different intention. That is such a different manifestation. That is such a different vibration. And we're still feeling like we want to hide under the duvet. We're allowed.
We are absolutely allowed. And we're not going to be messing up, as you say, any manifestations or vision boards or anything like that. It's how we respond, as you say. It's the empowerment in the response, and it's still being able to remain open to receive the other miracles, the other opportunities that your bandwidth is still available for. The miracles are still there. It's just a small part of you is dealing with the feelings over here. The feelings don't have to take up the whole bandwidth, and that's just like you say, it's down to how we acknowledge, how we respond. Almost like compartmentalize that aspect and give it acknowledgement. But guess what? Universe, I've got all of this manifesting space over here where you can still bring in the other bits and pieces. So that's how it feels for me, for sure.
Yeah. I love that, because that's exactly, that's what I was going to ask you, because when we're in low vibration, we feel like we're in low vibration and there's nothing else that can come. When we're in high vibration, we're like, yeah, please don't let in the low vibration. Please don't let them. It's like, oh my God, it's exhausting. And it's actually really detrimental to our nervous system. Like on a human level, it puts our nervous system into such a like spikes, like up, down,
Yeah.
up, down. I'm high. Oh shit, must stay here. Oh shit, now I'm sliding down the mountain again. I'm like, oh, I'm here. Got to fight to get up. We are in this constant fight with our nervous system, and it is exhausting physically, and then it manifests, and then it's spiritual as well. So it's spiritual exhaustion, and we go, oh, my soul doesn't have the capacity to do this anymore. It's not that. We've just exhausted our human. And and this idea of bandwidth is that actually we're the ups and the downs. I'm like, well, just walk through each. Well, already just even, and it's not just because we've got to get the help. We've got to be able to ask for support. We've got to stay open to receiving it. But it's like, can you feel the difference in that energy? It's like, I must stay in this high vibration. Or it's like, actually, I'm in a high vibration. It's great. But if, it's not going to knock me sideways if I just tip over the edge. And it doesn't become these like erratic spikes. It becomes more of a curved element. I was like, oh, okay, well, here I am. This doesn't feel good today. I had that this morning. I was out on my bike and I'm like, I'm feeling really anxious about something. I don't really know what it is. Like, what is that? And I could feel my ego and my mind going, find a better feeling vibration. This was only this morning, right? And this was something that I couldn't put my finger on. And I was like, I was having a chat with my ego as I'm cycling around the park.
Yeah, as you do.
And I'm like, hang on a second, this is not a good idea. Like, hang on a second, what is going on? Let's be okay with just feeling a bit anxious. Is there something coming on? It's like, what am I feeling a bit overwhelmed? Am I trying to do too much? Okay, well, how do I create space then in this? And literally just having that conversation with myself within like few minutes, it was gone. And I'm like, oh, okay, I feel okay now. And it wasn't in the effort of trying, going, it was like, okay, I'm both. I'm like, I'm feeling an undercurrent of anxiety, but I also I'm open to receiving wisdom and channel and resources and some guidance here. Like, help me out. Like, this feels weird.
Yeah.
And that's just for a little thing. And if we practice it with the little things, for me, this is what builds muscle memory, like spiritual memory. Like we're like, oh, okay, we can do it for the little things. Then when something bigger comes up, we already have this inbuilt memory of like, well, maybe we can do this differently.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just asking the questions or just being open to looking at that is putting you in a new like straight away into a new frequency, a new vibration, to be neutral about it, but to either it be shifted, you get the wisdom, or you sit with it for a bit longer. It doesn't matter because you're not labeling it with anything. You're not making yourself bad or wrong. It's just like, well, we're shining a light on it, we're noticing it, and it'll do what it needs to do. But I'm not dwelling on it in a really negative way, which would then continue then to manifest something that would keep that vibration going, would keep that emotionality or the frustration or the belief going. It's the neutrality and the curiosity and the playfulness that allows things to shift, the manifestations to change to something different.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So like, I don't know, just like reaffirming to myself, as well as we're talking, and just, I can't believe we've been talking for 45 minutes about this, but if you've got any questions, if this feels challenging, triggering, activating, there's something like, oh, this feels really hard, then let us know, because we get it. It's not easy. We are still trying to work this out. We are still creating this new era of what we're walking into. It will change again, but these, I think, are the codes. I feel these are the little bits of information and the wisdom that's coming through to support us and say, hey, life has changed. We've evolved. We're changing. It's like, these are new things, new ways of looking things, new perspectives that we're going to add to the mix now to support your evolution and be able to manifest more of what you want in your own power. And like, from this beautiful, place that we get to accept all parts of ourselves. Like, again, this is like still being being taught by so many people, like, be the good vibration, be the high vibration. And I'm like, why are we still teaching this? It's outdated. It's not true anymore. We know that now. Like, but it was true at a point. It was, because that was what we knew.
Yeah, but that's when I think when we were really opening up to quantum physics and like universal laws and stuff like that. And I know that on our notes we do kind of talk about the different laws that are kind of connected in with like the law. So I'm just looking at so the law of attraction, which of course is the, you know, became really big with The Secret. But it's the law of vibration, which of course is the new paradigm. It's that's really what we're looking at, is the vibration. Are we a like for like match? It's not the law of attraction, it's vibration. And everything is always in a state of movement. So that's where we need to probably understand our own manifestation techniques more closely, because it is about our vibration. But then I also wanted to pop in there about the law of gestation, that everything isn't just kind of like instant manifestation. No, it absolutely can be, because it was with me, although it wasn't something that I'd actually, again, defined as I want to give up drinking. It was never something that I actually said out loud. It wasn't something that I kind of tuned into and said, you know, help me to stop drinking. I had just started to reduce my physical intake and reduced it over a period of 18 months. So it wasn't a quick process. And then eventually, which is how I found the Akashic Records, I had the psychological addiction cleared with the master program of alcoholism cleared in 10 seconds. That was the final piece. That was instant because it was a 10-second thing. But I had done that whole process of embodiment to then get the final miracle, which seems like a miracle, but actually I'd done all of the work and had been moving my vibration. So there is this period of gestation, but I just needed that final, and I didn't know I needed that final thing, but the final thing came because it was divine timing, and I was drawn to watch the live, drawn to receive this healing, and it was like divine timing. So that is the period of gestation. So we've always got to be mindful that there can be a bit of time, because our physical body has to move through, and we have to move our physical, dense, energetic body to this new state. And that took 18 months for me to do that. And that was from years of drinking. Like it's 40 years or whatever. So
that's really powerful. That's really powerful. And it's so true as well. We're still so conditioned for instant gratification. I want something and I want it now. It's like we sow seeds. Like you've been reducing your intake, and what you were doing is saying to the universe, not consciously, but you were saying, like, you're saying, I want to reduce it. I'm taking action. I'm doing it. And it's a bit like, our manifestation in Portugal, and manifesting this incredible farm, 15 acres of woodland, which we had no idea that's where we would end up. But for years, for probably 15 years, when I lived in North London, I was very close to Hampstead Heath. I would cycle up to the Heath every day, and I would sit in the woodland. And I was always saying, like, and it was a joke, but it wasn't a joke. It was like, it was like, I'm just like, one day I'm going to have my own mini Hampstead Heath. And I was like, in my system, like there was like a sense of like, oh, maybe it's possible, because I was open, but I was like, oh, that's never going to happen. Like, how will I, Hampstead Heath, this beautiful, and here I have my own mini Hampstead Heath. It's like we are in oak woodland. It looks like an English woodland. It's got fern, and you could be in an English woodland. It's slightly different oak because it's European oak, not English oak. But it's still quite relatively young. So in 10 to 15 years, it will look a bit more like that. And it made me realize I've been sowing these seeds actually for 15 years.
Yeah.
For 15 years. And here it is in manifestation. Yeah. So sometimes our soul is holding the intention of what's coming.
Yeah, through the law of gestation. Yeah.
Through the law of gestation. And we are getting little snippets, little things that are like nudging us to be in a vibrational, in a place that's a vibrational match, or doing things that are a vibrational match of what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
And that's
totally it.
That feels real.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm getting the confirmation. Yes. And it's like we're trying to control the whole process. I feel sometimes as well. Like a lot of us are. I know there are times where I'm trying to control the process, the time. I want this by the end of the month. And it doesn't come, and we end up in disappointment, and we end up in a space of lack. Why has this not happened? I asked for it. I've been really good. I've been a good spiritual student. And I should have it because I really deserve it. Like, and it's a really hard place to be. And I think one of the things that I've been cultivating and practice again through this soulful self-awareness is that everything is enough for me right now. And from this space, I'm playing in the energy of more. But already everything is enough. Even if to the outside, it's not quite enough. If it's a hard financial month, or if it's, an argument with someone, or like I'm struggling with my mum's dementia, or, something happens that really doesn't feel like it's enough. But it's like, it is what it is. It is in this moment what I'm experiencing, and there's no good or bad. There's no high vibe or low vibe. I don't have to change it and panic and go, oh my God, this is terrible. What do I do to get in a high vibe to create it? It's like, this is enough for now. This is what I'm navigating. It doesn't feel comfortable. It feels somewhat challenging. It doesn't feel good, but I'm also open to more.
Yes.
And that is a very different energy. And from this place, that the manifestation and the possibility of manifesting is blowing my mind.
Yeah, because it's so much more empowering.
Yeah.
You're not being disempowered by external circumstance. You are maintaining whatever it is that you need to maintain in your very presence. Yeah. And you're just reminding yourself of that. There's power in presence. And that's what you manifest, is more power.
Yeah. Yes. And it's powerful because it creates a different sense of leadership. And, talking about the new era and the manifesting techniques, I think we are manifesting and creating a new level of leadership. That's not power over, it's power together. And it's really shifting that conversation around leadership. And perhaps we need to have one of our next conversations around leadership and how we show up differently in this. Because that really feels a really powerful conversation. And if you have ideas or there's things that you want us to talk into, then please do, like, email us, message us, put something on, a comment on here, because we really, like, things are evolving and changing so quickly. And I think that this was where this conversation really started from for Marina and I, is that in changing times, we need changing things. We need to be doing things differently. We need to be asking questions in a different way to empower us to move forward. And through your questions and through your thoughts, like, it's all bringing a new level to this awareness of how we're doing things and where we're walking towards. So,
absolutely. And your contribution, over and above mine and Natasha's, is part of this process of bringing the light in whatever form. And it doesn't matter what size of this light is with this channel, your contribution is part of that light. It's part of the activation that we're putting out there. We're putting it out there on, and in theory, this is out there forever. We've imprinted it, and we've certainly imprinted it into the Akashic Records, that these conversations are happening, these activations, this wisdom is coming through, and the listeners, you are all part of this process. So, and with that said, I mean, with the manifestation and improving our manifestation with the Akashic Records, where that kind of comes in for me personally is to use the Akashic Records for the wisdom, for the soulful self piece, but also to transmute, I suppose, any limiting beliefs, any lower vibrational energies, any past wounds and trauma. What I'm picking up is that some of us may actually have some wounds and trauma around manifestations that we have actually created, received, experienced that have been totally not what we wanted. And, you know, they could have been catastrophic. And we've made choices and decisions connected to that. And it's like, there's no way that I want to even go anywhere near any manifestation type of stuff, putting anything out there in terms of my dreams or whatever, because what it potentially could do in terms of hurting others and things like that. So I think there's probably, for some of us, we've got remembrance around that. It could also be connected with our spiritual gifts, our psychic gifts, where we have manifested things and they've not quite worked out and people have died. You know, if we've been healers and things like that, or alchemists or wizards, witches. So I think there's probably, from a very practical perspective, there is Akashic record work that we can do, but also to bolster your self-belief and your confidence, your curiosity, your playfulness, letting go of the fear, the lack, and the scarcity. I think there's lots that could be done within the Akashic records to support that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, as I think I was kind of alluding to earlier, I think that, you know, when I sometimes, you know, when I look in my Akashic record and I'm like, I'm not doing that. Surely not. 95% unconscious, no idea that I'm doing it. And I'm like, okay, this is coming up because this is the nudge, the invitation, the encouragement, the support, and the opportunity to look at it and see where is it that I'm still playing out this pattern, to release it and to create that space and embody something new that is more supportive of all the things we know now from this point in time about how we manifest for ourselves and the greater good. And we, you know, I as well often say, and I think I've said to you as well, probably on here as well, but to you, Marina, you know, I'm like, oh, imagine like this new evolved me in like 5 years time. Like, what will I know then that I didn't know at this point? And I think that this is where we're at this point in time, that we, you know, didn't know about spirituality, manifesting, you know, because we weren't at that place then. And it's like, now what we know is like we're moving forward. It's not like fixed in stone. It's evolving. It's an ascension process. And for us to feel safe and grounded and embodied in this, we have to take action. We have to take a responsibility, self-responsibility around it, and also this soulful self-awareness. It's like who we are now. That's the embodiment piece. What are we able to do to change it and create from a different perspective as a new version of ourselves that we are evolving into in the process of ascension? Because if you're watching this, you are on a path of evolvement. You're not watching this thinking, oh, this is all rubbish and non-budget. You're still not watching it. You're definitely not still watching. But you get a sense of it. And so this is the really powerful thing. So
absolutely amazing.
So I think that was pretty much, oh, look at that, on the nose of what we wanted to cover.
I think so.
I think that was pretty much it. But we have set a date. Maybe the next topic will be around leadership again.
I think leadership is good.
It's going to be on Tuesday, the 10th of September. It's going to be at 7 p.m. UK time, 11 a.m. PST, and 2 p.m. EST. I know people watching from all around the world. So come and join us. Mark that date in your diary. And come and watch us here on Facebook or on our YouTube channel. I'll try and put it on in the right places for a start. Good. And then, come and join us for the conversation. We love having them. Marina and I get so much from it. We hope you do too. Anything that comes up for you, please do share it. If you've loved this, please give us a heart. Please share it with your communities. Please share it out, or invite friends to come and listen as well if you think that this is gold for them and they need to hear this wisdom as well. So we would really appreciate it. This is how we change and ripple it out to the masses. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you again at the beginning of September.
Absolutely. Love and blessings, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.